right, so we are on a new piece of public. It's not new to us, but new as in scouting and whatnot. There's a couple of cameras I need to grab out here if they're still there. On top of that, we are going to be making our way back to an area that we call the Buck Nest. First 2 seasons out here that I hunted, there was an area that it just seemed like anything mature was coming out of this one spot. And then the next couple of seasons after that, we didn't have as much rain, as much water, so that it didn't grow up as thick as it usually has. But I still want to go back there today, see what's changed over the years back there, and find the best opportunity, the best tree. That's something I haven't done, is figured out what tree is the best. So we'll make our way back there, hopefully find some bone on the ground. God, we've put in at least 15 miles without finding any sheds or anything yet, so hopefully we find some sheds, grab my cameras, find some good sign, and then if we got time, honestly, we'll probably spend our whole day out here. It's a big piece of land, so heck yeah. So, got a scrape, a pretty fresh one. We've got tracks in it right now. Got a licking branch right here. Obviously, I'm not too concerned about it, seeing how we're in February right now. But it's just a good indication that they like to meet up here. And not only do we have this scrape, got this path leading right in here to this thicket that I know is bedding. So what we're actually going to do, I've marked, not the scrape, but I've marked this entrance in and out. And we're going to walk back in here and find the best area to set up on them in the morning time. With this being bedding, we're not going to be able to sneak back in here in the evening. So best opportunity would be get here in the morning while they're feeding out in this field behind us or working their way through this field. Anybody familiar with this field? This is actually where I shot that opening morning buck, just on the other side of that thicket back there, that big ass island. So we're going to mill our way back into here, see the first pocket that opens up that we might have good shooting opportunities, and then mark our tree.
First bed.
It's not too detailed, or it's not too noticeable, but you can kind of see that imprint of where it was laying here, and it would make sense. They got the wind coming over their back, looking through this thicket, watching that transition that we just came in on, so they'll be able to see anybody walking that transition. And with the amount of water and stuff back here, it's a good place to bed, separate themselves from people. And then if you look behind me, all they got to do is just smell behind them and look behind them. That's that walking path that we just took in. Kind of a good little spot, you know.
We're the only good tree in here. This tree's at least on that. I believe now there.
Alright, so we've just been following this transition. If you look out there, it kind of opens up into a field. We're just on the inside of all of this red brush, and back behind where the buck came out of the bedding area that we found back there. Just showing you the size of rub. This would be a kind of a good general rub for the size of buck that I've seen come out of there. He wasn't necessarily mature, but he wasn't young either, so it's good to see this. It at least shows me that he works this transition coming to or from that bed. So kind of hard to set up on. There's no trees out here, but it's just a good sign. It shows me the way that they like to travel and that they like to use this field. So it's just more intel.
crazy though. We're just gonna follow this edge. Go across that island, and then we gotta cut all the way across.
So, just probably 50 yards away from that last rub. Kind of the same size. This one looks a little bit bigger. Could be used by multiple bucks, but it's just good sign. It still shows me that this is the thick area that they like to move through. So at this point, just kind of keep milling around, trying to find the right general passive direction, and then see what the nearest tree I can set up is in, or a spot for a little ground blind. So I won't use a blind, I'll throw a ghillie on. Cool, I like the sign, it's a good sign. So, working our way across the field, behind us is where we just came from. Hit the very first transition. Transitions where obviously two types of habitat meet. And the very first thing that I seen from quite a distance away was this really old historic rub. Good indication that, you know, deer or bucks are traveling through here in general year after year. And then on top of that, there's one right next to it. Snap a couple branches off. Snap the one off behind it too. This is just more indication that the way they work through this field is through this thicker stuff. It gives me at least a pinpoint of where I can set up on them. And if you look out here, it's kind of open. So if they're milling their way through here, depending on the time of the year, I might be able to get in here with a ghillie and get set up. And just catch them working this edge. But we're gonna keep on working towards my cameras now. Anything we walk upon, make sure that we note. So it was definitely during my rutcation. I walked down this transition and I seen this crossing. I have it marked on my phone. I thought for a second I might have put a camera here, but now that I'm standing here, I remember how beaten this. I think plan is, man, this next season coming up here, I'm just gonna toss a camera here just to watch this. And I remember being confused because I remember looking onto the other side and not seeing exactly where they would be crossing up onto the other side, but not too far down is going to be another crossing, so they could just be coming in here and working down towards that because it's pretty thick across here. The plan is to just put a camera here, leave it all season, keep your fingers crossed that nobody finds it, and then just get the intel and work off of that for the next following season. All right, so the same day that I found that other crossing we were just at, I found this crossing minutes before that. This rub actually wasn't here when I put it up, so I'm kind of excited about that. You can see where they work down. And they cross right onto the other side, and I've got a camera right on over there. It's been up there since, man, it's got to be up there since early October or early November, so.
Good time.
Knock that guy out. I remember I almost fell when I put this up. We were actually just up there. I was talking about getting into this tree. Now that I'm down here, we're on this transition behind this field behind us, and I seen these three trees back here. The reason I'm excited about those ones instead is it gives us plenty of shooting opportunity out in this field to our right. And the way that we would access this is we didn't cross on this crossing from the other side. We actually crossed probably 40-50 yards down and we walked up that dike. That's exactly what we would do, is we would cross early, walk up the dike, rather than getting any scent over here. We would cross right through this mound. We both would grab a tree here It would give us a fresh field out here with no scent at all. We would make sure that our wind is blowing into this drainage ditch, this little dike here. And even though we won't be sitting in this tree up here and we'll be sitting in those, we'll still be able to see onto the other side of that dike into that field, preparing for anything to come this way. That drainage runs to the south. So if our wind ends up pooling that way, it should pool down into that dike and pull down to the south, keeping this completely fresh for us. Like to the point where we'd be able to sit this multiple times because we wouldn't be getting any scent out here. We'd be able to come back on the right wind every time, knowing that they're not getting into this thicket. They're just crossing here. Dude, I'm excited about this. So, absolutely, mark it.
Hope it's clean off.
All right, so we are just on the inside of this transition. We walked down that field edge, found a couple of those areas that we thought about setting up on, and then we hit another transition, started following that south, got into this thicket. You see that rub back there that we were just on? And we followed it this way. I actually see another good one right behind you, dude. This is definitely the majority of the mature sign that we've seen, which makes sense. So we're actually about to be on the corner of what I call the buck nest. This corner I've been super interested in. Last year when I scouted this, I followed a trail that kind of led into this back corner, and there's kind of like a little higher spots. This area gets flooded during the season, but these higher spots, there's no way that the water gets that high. So I was telling myself, man, a buck wood bed back here would be nice. So we're gonna mill on back here as we were making our way into this corner. See this nice rub, good sized rub. So we're gonna follow that back and see where it leads us. We're back in this corner. It is super thick back here. It's surrounded by water. And as we were milling around back here, just looking for general buck sign, we found this little hump that's actually surrounded by water. It's frozen right now, but this is we're standing on top of the water. This little hump right here, you can see this trail leads right back into here. And there's just one lone spot that's all bare back there. Now there's no rubs back there, but that doesn't mean that it's not a buck bed. The buck's not always just going to leave rubs right in his bed, but it's surrounded by rubs as we came out and in this whole area in general. So definitely a place of interest. The biggest thing now is trying to figure out how to get in and out of here without leaving too much scent or having them try to come into bed and cross our scent or anything like that. So we're just going to keep on working around back here, find a general sign, find the best way to get in here and the best tree to set up in. I like how open it is right here though. There's a lot of shooting opportunity if they're milling around back here.
Coyote tracks. That's easy.
It's on both sides too. Alright, so out of all the scouting we have done today, the majority of this mature sign that we have found is in this corner of what I call the buck nest. I've never scouted it this thoroughly like we have today, but we just followed a nice line of rubs, nice mature rubs all the way down here. And the main reason I wanted to get this on film is because look at my feet. all the mature sign, and this is how much water we've had to deal with walking through this. Just goes to show you, big bucks like wet feet. Keeps predators away from them. Majority of hunters won't go through this, won't try to set up in this. So at this point, now we need to find out how we're going to get in and out of here quietly without busting everything out of here, and the right tree to get up in. But it's crazy how much water's back here and how much sign is back here.
Look right there. Right next to the historical. There's one there.
This is probably where we need to be at, eh?
Yeah, I'd say.
This one here too.
Sitting here about to do an interview.
So, just wrapped up the scouting. We've got quite a trek back to the truck before it gets any darker. Just grabbed my cell camera that's been out here since, I want to say it was during my rutcation, so the first week of November. Funny that there's a stand right above us, this is crazy. But a good amount of sign. The majority of the mature sign that we were looking for was back into what I call that buck nest. I'm super glad that we got in there and milled around a little bit more, because I found out exactly where they're concentrated in that buck nest. So found a couple of spots we're thinking about setting up once the green up comes, get our cameras ready and get them out here, and then kind of break down what's going to be the best wind to get in there on and the best access to get in on them. But yeah, pretty good day for sure. Covered a lot of ground.